Thank you for joining. We are today, with Hashem's help, going to study chapter 28. We're making a lot of progress. We're moving forward. Chapter 28 in Tanya is a short chapter, but a very powerful chapter. And it somewhat is a continuation of chapter 27. So I'll give a brief recap on where we were. And really, I'll go back a little bit further, getting back into a quick reminder of where we starting from chapter 26, which was a bit of a new direction, a new section in the Tanya. We began to address how a person deals with emotional challenges that appear from either external or internal factors that are draining the person or causing the person to feel a sense of I give up, of despair, of not being motivated and inspired to keep fighting the fight. Because by now we already know pretty clearly that this is a lifelong fight. It's a lifelong battle that we're going to live with forever, every day of our life until we die. And we have to just try every day to succeed in being a Benoni, maintaining Benoni standard. That's our calling. That's what we're here for. We may not be from those selected few who were chosen to be privileged to have the role of a tzaddik, and therefore we have to deal with every day the struggle of the aspiring Benoni. And some days we do better, other days not as well, but it's a constant effort, and therefore it requires a lot of motivation, a lot of encouragement, a lot of drive, internal drive to say, I'm going to do this. And when a person is feeling down and they're feeling sad and they're feeling upset and depressed, they're not going to win. There's no way. You can't be successful when you're not feeling optimistic, inspired, motivated, encouraged, etc. So we talked about various different things, ideas that could sometimes cause a person to feel down. And each one, the Alter Rebbe drew for us exactly the path on how to address it. He described how to address depressions and sadness that come from a person feeling that they're lacking in physical material needs, whether it's one's health, finances, relationships, anything that is in the category, in the class of mundane physical. And we spoke about how to deal with that. Then we talked about how to address when a person feels inadequate in spiritual regards. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. I feel like I've done things wrong. I have sinned. I have made errors. I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. How to deal with that. We gave a recipe for that as well. Last week in chapter 27, we talked about two ideas on how to be able to respond to the aspiring Benoni who feels guilty and ashamed of not what he may have done, but about his status, his position as a Benoni. Meaning that the Benoni feels, how come I keep trying, I keep making efforts, but I don't seem to be making any progress. I'm not getting any closer to becoming tzaddik. I'm really at the same struggle where I was a year ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So what's going on? I keep working hard, but I'm not going anywhere. So we gave two very important responses to that. One is know your place. Don't set unrealistic expectations and then become disappointed. You're not set to become a tzaddik, so just get over it. That's not your calling, that's not your mission. And number two, well great, so I'm not set to be a tzaddik, then I don't like the idea, I don't like the fact that all I've been given the opportunity to be is a Benoni. I don't like that. That's meaningless. That's all I can be? Second-class citizen? I can never become any better than that? I don't want that. Hey, God, I wanted to be tzaddik. Well, what's going on? You let me be part of the 99% and the 1% I have no access to? That's no fair. So to that, the Alter Rebbe said, just because you are mistakenly thinking that only the tzaddik provides meaningful purpose in service to Hashem, you're wrong. In fact, the Benoni's service of Hashem, in many ways, is far more meaningful to God than the tzaddiks. So you got to get your mind set properly because you're misunderstanding what's going on. So we spoke to that of how The goal of the Beinoni is not the perfection, but it's the creativity of the effort, of the exercise, of the struggle. That is the beauty of the Beinoni. And the Beinoni is the real hero in God's book, not the tzaddik. And it's the effort of the Beinoni, the itkafia we spoke about, the struggle to say, I'm going to hold back, I'm going to restrain those negative impulses that I have, that I feel within me. I'm going to restrain those negative impulses. I'm not going to be ashamed that I had those impulses, because those were brought to me by God. They're not mine. And they're there just so that I should overcome them. And when I do overcome it, that's something to be very proud of. And that's something to appreciate, to know that that is so meaningful to Hashem. That brings Hashem the greatest joy and satisfaction and pleasure, even more than the perfection of the tzaddik. Okay, so now we're coming at the heels of that. Now we're moving into chapter 28. What does chapter 28 say? Chapter 28 tells us like this. There's first an element of talking to the consciousness, meaning addressing a follow-up struggle or a follow-up intellectual challenge that the Beinoni faces. And then there's a practical exercise on how to deal with it. Similarly to what we had in chapter 27. Chapter 27, we had those two psychological discussions that were addressed that I just mentioned now briefly. And then there was the practical, which was wait behind the line for the food. That was the practical, meaning learn the exercise of just pushing off rather than trying to get rid of the impulse. Just learn how to delay it. You feel like saying something mean? I'll wait 5 minutes. Oftentimes, it won't be relevant anymore. But even if you ended up saying, the fact that you delayed 5 minutes, that's powerful. You feel like jumping into the food? Just delay 5 minutes. It's the element of postponing the execution of the negative impulse. And that art, we said, is one that helps the Beinoni, the aspiring Beinoni, become more accustomed to being in control and handling the stress of the struggle. So now in chapter 28, there's a follow-up to that similar point that the Beinoni already felt in chapter 27. Chapter 27, the Beinoni felt, but I'm not making any progress. So what's going on? I'm ashamed of the fact that on the outside, I'm maintaining a certain perfection because the way I speak, the way I think, the way I act is as a Beinoni should. So on the outside, people think of me like, whoa, like a tzaddik. But in the inside, I know what's going on. If you only knew what kind of thoughts are coming through my mind, what kind of ideas I'm restraining, that I'm not allowing, that I'm filtering from it becoming expressed, you would never think of me as you do now. And I'm ashamed because I know that of myself. So I feel ashamed, I feel guilty in a certain way. So now there's a follow-up. The follow-up is that the Beinoni says, okay, I get the whole thing. Tells the Alter Rebbe, I get it. Fine, you told me that I should know that I'm not a tzaddik. Got it. You told me that I should know that the struggle of the Beinoni, the creativity of overcoming the struggle is more valuable, more meaningful than the perfection of the tzaddik. Okay, thank you. That resonates. That gives me inspiration. That it gives me encouragement to know that what I'm fighting for is worth it. But you know what the problem is? I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm losing. What does that mean? Well, let's go back to the first point that we mentioned right at the start of the Tanya. That within me, there are two forces that are fighting each other. There is the force of godliness, the godly soul, and then there's the force of the animalistic, the animal soul. And they're fighting each other. They're fighting for control over the mind, over the heart, over the body. Who's going to govern and dictate how the person is going to behave? So ultimately, what do we desire? That the godly soul should win. The Beinoni is the one that succeeds in having the godly soul win all the time. The tzaddik naturally has the godly soul win. Doesn't even really have the challenge or the opposition of the animal soul. The Beinoni has the opposition in full power, but it succeeds in being able to give the godly soul the ability to win. So even when the struggle is present, fine. Post chapter 27, I understand that the fact that I continue to have opposition doesn't mean that I'm not making progress. Or I should say, doesn't mean that what I'm doing is not meaningful. Now the problem is that I'm feeling discouraged because I feel that I'm actually losing. What's my proof? What's my proof that I feel that I'm actually losing? Because the opposing force, the animal soul, continues to strike freely at me. So that means I haven't really contained or pushed back in any way the animal soul. Let's think of it in the context of a battle between two opposing forces in the physical reality. Think two nations fighting each other militarily. If the enemy force would strike at you, they would throw a rocket, they would send a bomb, whatever it may be, how would the receiving military understand that the enemy is very strong? The enemy still has full power to be able to strike at me. That means I haven't really been able to hinder or push back or restrain the enemy to the point that he doesn't have the ability anymore to strike at me. It means I haven't really made much progress in my effort in trying to silence the enemy. The expectation is that if I am being victorious in the battle, then that will diminish and hopefully once and for all end or silence the enemy's continuous attacking at me. So if the enemy attacks at me, means that the enemy is still strong. That's the way I would interpret that. So how does that translate into my inner conflict? If the animal soul is still striking at me, that means that the animal soul is still in full power and I haven't made any progress in actually silencing him in any way. That means that I'm not winning. That's very discouraging. Here I am, and I'm working so hard, and I'm trying the best I can. I'm giving blows at the animal soul. What kind of blows does the godly soul give at the animal soul? The godly soul doesn't engage in conflict. The blows is that godly soul, another session of Torah study, another prayer, another mitzvah, keeps shining the light, keeps shining the light. But look what happens. The enemy is still attacking me. It means that I'm not winning. This is, I believe, a very, very fundamental discussion because it has implication and relevance far beyond just my personal inner conflict. The same truth that we're going to get to, as the Alter Rebbe explains in this chapter, I believe applies as well to how we look at the world and how we look at reality, especially in the days that we're living in now. Many of us feel, oftentimes, and are led to think, to believe, that negativity is so powerful, anti-Semitism, hatred is so powerful. Why? Look! It keeps showing its ugly face. So that means that we're losing and they're winning. Because had we been winning, there would be less attempt on the other side, on the negative side, on the enemy side, to be able to freely and openly attack us. So the fact that we're being attacked is a sign that we're losing. It's a sign that we're not making any progress, that we're living in a doomed reality. That's how we look at it. So this chapter changes that. It changes the entire narrative. It teaches us a different way how to be able to look at reality. Our own personal reality, and I believe that it applies also to the global reality. Does the question make sense? Does it resonate? Great. Now let's get to the response. So the Alter Rebbe says the following. Number one, let's address your perspective. He says your perspective is faulty. It's wrong. Why? Because what happens when you have a conflict between two forces? The way it works is that when the enemy feels that they're really losing, that they're really in danger of once and for all being eliminated, they will utilize every last resource they have. So the fact that the enemy is striking at you, the fact that terror is targeting you, doesn't mean that they are strong. In fact, it could actually be a sign that they are at the brink of destruction. Because had they not felt that they are at the brink of destruction, they perhaps would tolerate your light for a little longer. The fact that they feel like, oh no, we're not going to let this, we're going to strike with everything we have, we're going to deplete our very last resources possible, is because they feel that they are at the verge of being eliminated once and for all. And the same thing is true in your inner conflict. So the Alter Rebbe utilizes an example of prayer. So let me share that example. And although it may not be something that we all connect with personally, I think in some way we will, but may not be like the most relevant example. But the same example can apply in many other areas of our life. Let's start with the example of prayer that the Alter Rebbe discusses directly, and then let's talk about how to apply that to other examples, the other areas in our life. So a person sits down to pray. You open your prayer book, you open your Siddur. What's your goal? Ultimately, you want to be able to connect to the prayer. You want to feel like you're in it. Not just saying words, chanting words or songs. You want to feel like you're in the prayer. Because at the end of the day, if prayer is meant to be my communication with Hashem, then I want to feel like I'm in it. I'm not just robotically reciting certain passages and verses and then I have no idea what's going on. So how will I do that? I need to focus. I need to clear my mind. I need to be able to concentrate my thoughts. Right now, this is what I'm doing. I don't want to have my phone and be distracted. I don't want to be sitting next to somebody who's going to be talking to me. I want to put myself in the space of mind, in the mindset that right now I'm talking to Hashem, I'm going to concentrate, I'm going to focus, I want to understand what I'm saying, I want to pay attention to the words, I want to think about it, I want to feel it, I want to be in it. And if I am able to pray in that way and get that feeling, it's very pleasurable. It feels really good. It feels like I had a successful prayer session. This was good. God and I, we got into it. We hit it off. It worked well. It went well. We connected. We communicated. Spoke to Hashem. God listened to me. And I felt it. I felt that presence. I felt that connection. It's very special. Sometimes we're a little distracted. It may not even be from external things. It could be internally. Maybe I woke up and there's something really sitting on my mind. I'm really troubled about something, or I'm very excited about something. Doesn't matter what it is. And my mind is not 100% there. So I sit down to the prayer. I open a prayer book. And I'm trying, but it's not going. I'm all over the place. Internally, nobody's bothering me. I'm just all over the place. So when I close the prayer book and I finish the prayer, I feel like this was a waste of time. This didn't go. I would not put this down as one of my most successful prayers. Makes sense. Now the Alter Rebbe says, well, let me reshift your perspective on how you are gauging, determining what's considered a successful prayer and what's not considered a successful prayer. Let me reframe that for you. So you think that if you were able to pray fully in concentration, without any distracting thoughts, that means that you were on your game and your godly soul was in full control and it was winning and it was doing what it had to do. And what's the proof? Because see, the godly soul was so powerful that the animal soul couldn't even try to distract it. It was able to pray successfully. It's true, the godly soul did well that day. But then you look at the day that you were very distracted and you were trying to focus. It wasn't that you weren't focused. It wasn't that you didn't come in even trying. You were trying. But these thoughts just were coming all over and your mind was everywhere. No matter how hard you tried, but it wasn't going. And maybe even you got yourself to concentrate at the end. But the fact that you were being so distracted so many times, you feel like that proves that my animal soul is really powerful. And my godly soul is not that strong, because had it been really strong, the animal soul would never have the audacity to go and push a distracting thought into the godly soul while it's trying to pray. That's not true. Because it could be like this. Here's how the Alter Rebbe frames it. It could be that the day that you prayed fully in focus, without any distractions, you know why the animal soul didn't distract you that day? Not because you were so powerful, because the animal soul sensed that your prayer that day wasn't such an important prayer. You felt good about it, but you weren't really connecting to God on a super deep level. So it said, God, let him do it. It's fine. Doesn't hurt me. But today, the animal soul sees that you're really onto something. And the animal soul sees, oh my God, if he prays like this today, I'm going to be done. I'm going to be toast. I better react. I cannot let this go down this way. So the animal soul is using every possible resource that it has to distract you, to try to prevent you from praying. So what turns out is that the day that you thought your prayer was really pure and amazing and perfect, it wasn't really. And that's why the animal soul didn't bother challenging you. And the day that you felt you had like a lousy prayer, a prayer I shouldn't even mark down on my books, oh, that was the prayer. But it was so distracted. Yeah, you know why it was distracted? Because it was so important. The enemy doesn't bother to interfere with your effort if what you're doing doesn't really make a big difference. But if what you're doing really matters, the enemy is not going to let it go down just like that. It's going to try every possible manner that it has to interfere with you. So now, there's a new way how to look at reality. When things are going very well and perfect and smooth, rather than saying, oh, that means that's a sign that I'm doing really well, that I'm winning, that I'm victorious, I'm at the top. Not necessarily. And when things are being challenged, when there's opposition, when there's darkness coming my way, rather than looking at it as a sign that darkness is becoming so powerful and I'm losing, in the contrary, you're winning. And because you're winning, that's why the negativity and the darkness is making every effort possible to get in your way. In the world of business, there's a concept that competition, or if somebody wants to copy your style, that's the biggest compliment that what you have is a good product. How do you know if your godly service is a good product or not? The way you know that is if there is opposition. If there is no opposition, you should become a little concerned. It must not be that good because nobody's trying to interfere with it. But if what you're trying to do has a lot of opposition, that could be a really powerful sign that you're onto something really, really unbelievable. So now we flip the narrative. We were thinking first, when do I know that I'm winning? When I'm able to silence the enemy. Now we're saying that if the enemy is striking back at you, it means you're doing something really amazing, that the enemy feels threatened. It's a whole different way how to look at things. So let's talk about now, I mentioned the idea of the prayer, and let's try to take that into other areas of my life. So I know in the past when we talked about food, it was very exciting. So I'll give an example of food again. Okay? All right. Sometimes, maybe sometimes, I show up at the buffet, and it's a really good buffet. It's good spread, not because the food's lousy. It's good spread. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to jump at it today. I can handle it. I can wait. And then some days I just like have a burning desire. So I may think that the day that I am like feeling strong, that I can handle it, means that my godly soul is pumped. That means I'm really doing well. And the day that I show up and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just all over this food, means that my godly soul is so weak. It's nothing, that the animal soul is just loose and free. Says the Alter Rebbe in chapter 28, it may be the opposite. It could be the day you showed up and you're feeling like, I can handle it. It's because you're not that strong, so the animal soul is not bothering to get in the way. It's like, okay, you want to wait, I don't care. But the day you show up and you're feeling like you just literally can't control yourself, it's not because you're weak and your animal soul is becoming so strong, but it's the reverse. You are in such a strong position now that the animal soul will not let you just get away with it. Why is that relevant? Because now you know, oh, so this is the day that I got to restrain myself. This is the day that it really, really matters. This is the day that I got to pray with the ultimate concentration. Because I'm being so distracted, that means if I can pray today with full concentration, I'm going to win. In reality, you're never going to win to the point that you completely eliminate the animal soul, but you will give a substantial blow to the animal soul, and that's why it's standing up there and saying, no way. The same thing is when you feel a temptation to the food, the same way when it's a day that you feel like you're just at the verge of cussing at everybody and saying mean things and offensive things. Those days, those moments, those situations in your life are the ones that matter most. And that's why you're having such a hard time. So don't translate your hard time. Don't interpret your hard time as a sign that you're weak. It's actually oftentimes a sign of your greatest strength and your greatest opportunity. And when you realize that, then you're empowered. But then the follow-up to that is, okay, but oh my God, the enemy is really striking hard, so what do I do? Yesterday, I was able to open up my Siddur, my prayer book, and it flowed. I prayed, concentration, and went well. Now you're telling me that it's because it wasn't such a relevant prayer. Fine, but it went well. Today, you're saying it matters so much, but I'm so distracted I can barely get 2 words out of my mouth without thinking about something else. And now you're telling me, but this is the one that matters most, so don't give up. Go for it. But what do I do? Practically, how do I deal with that? How do I deal with all this distraction? How do I deal with all this negativity that keeps striking at me? How do I deal with the fact that I'm seeing all this opposition, all this hatred, all this anti-Semitism coming right at me? How do I deal with it? You're telling me it's a sign that I'm really strong. It's a sign that I'm at the verge of really making a difference, transforming the reality of the world, shining my light in a way that's going to be so powerful. That's a sign. Great. But all this negativity is in front of me. How do I respond to that? How do I deal with that? What do I tell the distracting thought that is coming to me while I'm trying to pray? What do I tell him to get him out of my way and let me focus? So the Alter Rebbe gives us the key here. This is the practical idea. Very powerful. He says a statement, Hamisabek imenuvol misnavel gamken. Somebody who wrestles with dirt becomes dirty. Do not engage the negativity. Do not engage negativity. You will not be able to win in the argument, in the debate. And not only that, you are going to end up becoming dirty like the negativity. You're going to make yourself contaminated by engaging in dialogue with the negativity. The negativity doesn't deserve your attention. So what should I do? Go forward. Ignore the negativity, pretend it doesn't exist. Just shine your light even brighter. Shine your light even brighter. And guess what's going to happen? 2 things are going to happen. One is that meaningful prayer, that the negative force said, I better stop it, you're going to actually succeed because you're going to keep going. So, by default, the negativity is going to be further diminished, right? That's number 1. Number 2, the negativity is going to see, wait a second, strategically, this wasn't such a wise move. I thought that if I'm going to throw a punch now, I'm going to pick up my ugly head and target and hit. That's going to make the light be diminished. But it turned out that what happened, this is very Talmudic. What happened the light became even brighter, so it wasn't worth it. So next time, I'm going to reconsider whether or not I should target. Because if I know that when I target, you're going to shine your light even brighter, then it's not worth it. My whole purpose is to get you to stop. But if this doesn't get you to stop, and in the contrary, it makes you work overtime, then it's not worth it. I said that the prayer is one example. It may not be one that we connect with most, but it's an example. It's the one the Alter Rebbe uses, so I definitely want to discuss it. But that truth, that principle, applies in every situation of your life. Food, it could be any situation where you are making a conscious effort to behave in a certain way, to act in a certain way, which you know is the right way, which is the godly way, and you are having distractions and challenges internal that are creeping up within you that are making it more difficult. Yeah. And sometimes it goes smooth, and then you feel successful, you feel like I did it well, and sometimes it doesn't go smooth. You got to it at the end, but it wasn't smooth, so you feel like you failed, like it means you're weak. So the Alter Rebbe says that's a distorted way how to look at it. When you're being challenged, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Yeah. When you're not being challenged, that may be a symbol that what you're doing isn't super significant. Because if it was significant, you would not be given the opportunity just to go down with it.
Because a while ago I walked away from services not feeling great about that particular service. Because you mentioned having intentionality with every word, connecting, focus. So I try to do that. And then weeks ago, I'm reading, and then I get to a word, and then I get distracted with a thought, and that leads me down another path of a thought, to another path of a thought, to another path of thought, and all of a sudden, page 300, 200 and something, and I'm like, I'm on 181, what happened here? And I got stuck on these connected thoughts, and I'm trying to focus, have the understanding of what I'm reading, and also practice Hebrew and all that stuff in the process. And I walked away, I was like, this one's not as impactful as it could have been because of these thoughts.
So now you know that day was, for whatever reason, was a day that your prayer carried a stronger potential than on the day when you weren't distracted. See, the animal soul knows how to detect that. The animal soul has a highly super sensitive radar to know which ones of your actions, which ones of your prayers, which ones of your thoughts, or whatever it may be, carry the most powerful impact. And the ones that matter most is where it's going to stage its opposition in the greatest possibility. If it doesn't matter so much, you may just let it slide. Because the big deal. You have to pick your battles. The animal soul knows it has to pick its battles. It can't oppose you in everything that you do. It doesn't have enough resources for that. So where is it going to challenge you? Where it matters most. So if you're feeling super challenged, know that it matters most. But practically, how do you deal with that? So we're saying that the solution, the practical solution to deal with it is shine your light brighter. Keep going forward. Do not engage in debate, in dialogue with the animal soul. Do not engage in debate with evil, because it's only going to make you become evil as well. It's going to make you become tainted and dirty and soiled from that engagement. So what's your response? Shine your light brighter and keep going forward. Pretend like it doesn't exist. And then, with time, that will, by default, diminish the opposition, because your light became that much brighter, so there's less room for the opposition. And the opposition itself is going to reconsider whether it wants to try to oppose you in this way, because it sees that your reaction was counterintuitive to what it was hoping to accomplish. It hoped that its opposition is going to push you back, to make you retreat, and instead of you retreating, you advance further, so it's not worth it. If the enemy knows that if you strike, you're going to invade further, it's going to reconsider before it strikes. It's going to think of a different way. This doesn't work. So if it's trying to get you not to pray, or to pray without focus, and it sees that when you have a distracting thought, you intensify your focus and your concentration, oh well, maybe then I shouldn't give you a distractive thought, because it's going to only make you pray that much more fervently. So you sit down and you're sitting to pray and you're focusing like you would at any time. And some days it just flows, so it goes easy. Another day you see a distracted thought right away. You're like, oh my God, like you dive in. Now I'm going to focus really super amazing. And another thought comes and you even more. And you keep going. Then slowly it starts to pull back and say, well, that's not worth it. I'm not going to do this. So the Alter Rebbe actually gives an example in the context of prayer. Say, pretend if that voice, that distraction wasn't coming internally, it was coming externally. It's hard for us to imagine that because it's so inappropriate that we don't think that something like that would happen. But it could happen. And it does happen in the context of other truths of our life outside of prayer. But imagine if you sat down to pray and somebody, another person, not in personal thought, some other person decided that it's his mission to disturb your prayer. Intentionally. He stands and starts talking to you and you're ignoring him. They start laughing, making funny faces, getting in your way, blasting the music, whatever. He's trying to get you just to stop the prayer. To talk to him. Stop the prayer. So what does the Alter Rebbe say? The Alter Rebbe says, what are you going to do? You're going to go and argue, stop, leave me alone, I just want to pray. What do? When you gave him attention, what you just do? It's working. So what's he going to do? He's going to do even more. Stop, don't bother me, I'm not going to do it. And then you go back to pray, now he's going to do even more because he knows, look, it's working. I got him to stop. But if you ignore him, how long is it going to take before he walks away? If you have somebody that knocks on your doorbell, and you don't want to deal with them, you're not interested. And they're the type of person that they're such a nudnik that they're not going to go away even if you tell them to. So you come to the door and say, I'm not interested, please go away. 5 minutes later, they come to ring the bell. I told you I'm not interested. They ring the bell again. They keep coming back. But imagine, they ring the bell and you don't answer the door. Okay, so they'll wait 3 minutes, they'll ring the bell again. They'll wait 2 minutes, they'll ring the bell again. What's going to happen after 10 minutes? Okay, this guy's not answering the door. I'm going to move on to somebody else. It's the same thing that's going to happen in your inner voice as well. Apply the same methodology to your animal soul. If the animal soul sees that you keep disregarding it, you're not getting in it with him. You're not telling the animal soul, what are you doing to me? Come on, don't you see I'm just trying to pray. Leave me alone. No, you do that, he knows he's getting you. Just keep praying and more intensify. Intensify the light. Intensify the light. And then says the Alter Rebbe, if you're trying so hard, and even after ignoring and continuing to focus and intensifying your effort, you still feel that you're coming to a point that you just can't. This distraction is so intense, I just can't. So the Alter Rebbe says, I'll give you one last resort. Use that situation as an impetus to restructure your prayer. Till now your prayer was whatever it was you were praying. Now your prayer becomes, Hashem, please help me. All I want is to pray properly with concentration. And I'm having so many distracted thoughts. Please help me that I should be able to pray. You're not talking to the animal soul, you're talking to God. And Hashem will answer you. Why? Because that prayer is going to be so meaningful, so heartfelt. It's going to be so wholesome because you're really in despair. It affected you in a way, and that may be the beauty of what this prayer was leading to.
So should that be the proper response if I feel bad about myself because I can't focus during prayer? Let's say I'm spacing out during prayer and I'm like, God, man, I should be really in it. I should really, be present with the prayer. And I want to focus. I want to be there, but I'm really kind of like out here scattered in ADD land. You're saying pray to Hashem to give focus and to not listen to the animal soul of the feeling self-doubt to either pray and just keep on trucking on and not worry about the self-doubt about my inability to focus when I want to focus.
So I believe, if I'm understanding chapter 28 correctly, I believe that these are not options. It's a system. And it's important that we follow the system in its right order. So there's a few things that you said here. Number one, you said, if I'm feeling ashamed or guilty that I'm not praying the way I should, does that mean that I should pray to God that I want to pray the way I should? You weren't talking about the frustration of being in the middle of trying to focus and the frustration that no matter how much I'm trying, it's not working. You were talking about feeling guilty and ashamed. That's chapter 27 or chapter 26. That you feel like you should have prayed better and you didn't, and now you're feeling upset about it. So it's either chapter 26, which means that you feel that you sinned, or it's chapter 27 that you feel ashamed of who you are as a person. I'm a type of person that doesn't pray focused. Here we're not talking about that. Here we're talking about you are in the middle of prayer. You are in the battlefield. You are in the process of executing your mission, and you're having opposition. How do you react to that? How should you react to the opposition that's popping up before you while you're in the middle of the effort to execute your mission? Says the Alter Rebbe, do not engage with the opposition. Keep going with higher intensity. That's step number one. And you got to follow that step. Don't just say, I'm going to pray to God. No, that's the reaction. The reaction is, I'm going to now intensify my prayer. This is not how I feel before I prayed or after I prayed. It's during the prayer. Before the prayer or after the prayer is a different discussion. Here it's during the prayer. I'm in the middle of my mission. I'm a soldier in the battlefield. It's not pre-going out, the pep talk. It's not once I return from battle, how I look at it, how I react to it, how I feel about it. I'm in the battlefield. I'm right now actively engaged in the situation. I'm in the middle of prayer, and I'm having distracted thoughts. What do I do with that right now? Don't start negotiating with the distraction. I try to say 3 words, and some distracted thought popped in my mind. Pull yourself together. I pull myself together, and I say, now I'm going to say the next 3 words with even greater intensity of focus than I said the previous 3 words. And now that another distracted thought came, that's maybe even more, as I intensify, it also intensifies. Because it sees that, oh my God, I better shoot stronger rockets because this is not getting him to stop. So you keep intensifying. If after this is going on for a while and you're like, I can't. God, please help me. That's when you pray. Why do I say that I think that the process and the steps in the process are important? Because the whole point of that prayer, it's not a way to say, let God do the work for me. God, listen, I need your help. I'm going to chill and let me know when you're ready. This is not. The purpose of this prayer is, the whole point of your prayer was that you're trying to connect with Hashem. It's not working. Or you think it's not working. You feel it's not working because you keep getting distracted. So you're interpreting that to mean that it's not working. But you know what the Alter Rebbe said, so you're not getting discouraged by that. You keep trying, you keep intensifying, but it's not going. So what's going to happen is, now, your prayer that you were trying to pray became a new prayer. What did it become? It became an outburst that comes from deep within your heart, that is so perfect, that is so whole, that says, God, I need your help. That became your prayer. But you can't get to that if you don't get frustrated enough, you can't get yourself to that point. Let's translate that for a second in the way we look at anti-Semitism, the way we look at negativity, because I think it's going to fit very well. You're going to see it in that context as well. What's our Jewish mission? We want to live our lives as Jews. We do mitzvot. We have synagogues. We have schools. We raise our children with Jewish values. We celebrate the Jewish holidays. That's all we want. We're not looking to bother anybody. We're not looking to take over anybody. We're not looking to hurt anyone. We just want to live our life. Living our Jewish life, serving Hashem, doing what we're supposed to do, and it's all good. I won't bother you. Don't bother me. Let me serve my mission. Let me live my Jewish life, and that's fine. I'm not going to get in your way. I'm not trying to take over your place. I just want to live my life. But then, people go to celebrate Hanukkah, and they're shot dead while they're celebrating Hanukkah. And they say, what's going on over here? What does this mean? How could something like this be? What does that mean? That means that negativity is so powerful, that evil is so strong, that there is no place for me to be able to just be a Jew serving God in this world, because the forces of darkness are so powerful, so evil, and so corrupt, that if I just want to be a Jew that goes to light a Hanukkah candle out in public, I'm going to be shot down, heaven forbid. So what do I need to do? I need to go make a statement. I need to say, that's not okay. You cannot do that. It's not right that there should be such evil that will hunt me down for just wanting to be a Jew. And I'm going to lobby that all the world leaders should come out and make these statements. And I'm going to lobby that the governments and the regimes that are responsible should make sure to prosecute these people and don't let this happen again. What does that mean? What does that say? If that's my only reaction, what does that tell evil? That was a good move. Do it again. Next time, maybe even stronger. Because what did it do? It got me to stop trying to be Jewish, because right now I'm busy trying to protest and make statements to make sure that nobody else can be evil. While I'm doing that, I don't have time to go light another Hanukkah menorah. I may even be afraid to go light a Hanukkah menorah. I may be thinking to myself, now is not the time. When I can get evil to be quiet and to stop thinking that it's okay to do that, then I can go back to just living my life as a Jew, happy forever. That's not going to work. So what's the reaction? The reaction is, you tried to stop me from lighting my menorah, and now I'm going to light 10 menorahs. I'm going to light them bigger and brighter. Not even going to look at you. Not even going to respond to your negativity. I'm going to get all my friends to light menorahs. Even my non-Jewish friends are going to start lighting menorahs. We're going to shine this light everywhere. We're going to blast it out. Now evil starts to scratch its head and says, not sure that was such a good idea. Here I wanted to get the Jew to stop lighting the menorah in public, and what I get? 10 more public menorahs than I even tried before. I tried to stop 400 Jews from lighting the menorah. Now 4,000 Jews showed up. Now that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to do with that. But why would it be that I would even think that I should engage the negativity? Because I think the negativity is powerful. And if I don't do something to engage it, or to stop it, or to protest it, it's going to take over. If I thought the negativity was nothing, it was a blowing wind, it's going to pass, I would not pay attention to it. The Alter Rebbe is telling you, that is what it is. It's not powerful. You think it's powerful because it picked up its ugly head. That's not a sign it's powerful. That's a sign that you're powerful. So don't retreat. You're winning. Intensify. Go forward. Shine more light. Do more, because you are onto something. You're about to win this battle. Don't stop. You have no time to start negotiating and protesting the evil. You gotta go shine brighter. The evil is gonna disintegrate before you even know it. And what happens if you keep doing that? And the evil continues to target you, heaven forbid. That's still not a sign you should engage it. You can cry out to Hashem and say, Hashem, I'm doing everything I can. I keep intensifying the light. I need your help. Get rid of this once and for all. And Hashem will answer. That's the path for the Jew. That's the path for the Jew in the world. That's the path for the Jew in his own personal life. That's chapter 28. Don't deal with trying to negotiate the evil. I'm going to rehabilitate the evil. But it's not going to work. You're not going to rehabilitate the evil. You're not going to reform negativity to become your ally. Not in this way. Your mission is to shine the light. Your mission is to keep going forward. It's difficult, intensify. You intensified and it's still coming and you're getting frustrated, cry to God for help and keep going. It's not cry to God for help and raise your hands and surrender. Cry to God for help while you keep going, asking God, please help me that this should work. This should be successful. And once and for all, the distractions should end. That's what we're doing now. And that's the only solution. This is chapter 28.
Yeah.
It's the same story when we're trying to pray, and it's the same story when, heaven forbid, we're gunned down for lighting a menorah in public. It's the same idea. It's the same strategy.
When you say move forward and shine your light brighter, let's use the example of what happened in Sydney, that doesn't negate, you're not engaging in the negativity if you make those kinds of events safer to...
No, safer doesn't mean you don't have to be irresponsible.
Right.
You don't have to be careless.
Right.
But don't let your narrative be about the safety. Be responsible. But what's more important, your priority should be in making the event bigger, louder, and prouder. Of course, safety as well. But that's your focus.
Yeah.
Your focus is not, oh my God, we're going to build walls, tall walls. They hit us, we're going to build a taller wall. That's not the response. It's not about trying to protect myself. It's about trying to keep going to succeed in the mission that I set on to in the first place. There's even room at the table to say that you have to demand from the authorities to take action and to prosecute those who, fine. But that's not the focus. I'm not saying, who cares? Let them be on the loose, it makes no difference. And there's also, in our context, say if we're talking about Israel, in our own defense, we have a responsibility to go and fight and protect ourselves. We just say, they hit us, they threw missiles and rockets, we're just going to pray harder. No, we have a responsibility to fight back. That's because there's different roles that we have. But the primary goal, the primary mission of the Jew, every Jew, any Jew, doesn't matter who it is, whether they're a soldier in the IDF, whether they're a citizen and living in middle of nowhere in California, doesn't matter. Any Jew, wherever we are, our primary mission is to keep living our life as a Jew should. And that has to be priority number one, no matter what the situation is. Some of us are involved in government affairs. Some of us are connected. So we can utilize those channels as well to do what we need to do. But that's not the focus. God forbid, the Jews are targeted. First response, anti-Semitism, let's protest. That's not the right reaction. The right reaction is, how can we make an even bigger Hanukkah event now? How can we get the whole world now to show up to Hanukkah? Safer, louder, prouder, but it has to be more of the light. Because the only reason we're being targeted is because we're onto something. It's because we're winning. It's not because the world's becoming so bad. People say, the world's getting so bad because anti-Semitism is so much more prevalent than ever was. That means that the world's getting to such a bad state. On the contrary, we're really onto something. Mashiach is about to come. That's why negativity says, we cannot tolerate this. If 50 years ago, 20 years ago, we can handle Jews out in public places lighting menorahs and it didn't matter, now we know that if they keep doing this, Mashiach is going to come. We cannot let this go down like this. So we're about to win. They come and gun us down. So what do we say? We better go hide now. Shh. Are you crazy? Mashiach is about to come. That's why this happened. So let's just win. Let's go even louder, even brighter. That's what's going to make it happen. It's a whole different shift of how we look at things. Very powerful chapter.